after the child is born, successful labor, the way we introduce the child into our commotion as human beings, a child has been in the womb in a very dark place, peaceful place, quiet place, and then the next thing, you expose the child to light, too much light. It affects the child's a child, because the child is supposed to be introduced into our madness. I will try to say that gently.
Yeah.
Even footballers are taken to acclimatize somewhere before they go to the real venue for. So we need to allow the child acclimatize to lighting, to sound, to smell, because the five senses, if they are impaired by our ignorance, the sense, the auditory sense, the visual sense, the olfactory sense, the gustatory sense, the tactile sense, then the child will be special needs. Wow. And it's going to be a problem.
Hello, welcome to Think Tank TV. My name is Boma Harodhat, and I'll be your anchor on this special occasion of the program. But before we continue, I'd like you to like our page and subscribe to our channel. With me today is a very special guest. His name is Mr. Tonye Ariye Dokiari. Mr. Tonye Ariye Dokiari is a teacher, an educator, a learning specialist, an education consultant, a child and youth advocate, and he is also a public analyst. Today is going to be very special as we'll be educated on some topical issues, especially in this area of education and general societal development. Mr. Tonye, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's nice having you so much.
Yeah,
and I'm very optimistic we are going to be learning quite a lot from you based on the on your wealth of experience. Now, your field, basically, you are hovering around the educational sector. You are a teacher, an educator, a learning specialist, an education consultant. We want to know, what's your take on the level of education that we have in Africa generally, and I think I would like you to also narrow it down to Nigeria and possibly Rivers State and Bonny, in particular.
Education is the vehicle to every aspect of development.
Okay.
Human development. It's so sad that generically the Africans don't have any education. I'm saying that with understanding that if our education that is ours will be in our language.
Okay, I get you now.
The Frenchman is educating his children in his language.
Okay.
The German in his language.
Okay.
The English in his language. 99.9% of our education is happening in a foreign language. So what we have, if relative to other educational systems in every part of the world, we don't have an education. In Africa, we speak English most of the time. Been speaking English the whole of today. I've spoken English 100 over 100 times. You, the same thing.
Of course, we are communicating in English.
Yes, we're communicating in English. And the science of language is that the language you speak more is the language of your thoughts. In Africa, the whole of Africa is speaking English. That means the language of our thoughts. We think in English. Which means very soon we will be extinct as a people. Our poetry is going to be in English. I will show you some examples. The Sonia days, Ebenezer Obey, Osita Osadebe, and all those singers sang in our languages. How many of our children as musicians are singing in our language? which shows that they don't, because we are speaking English, we can't write poetry in our language. So they are thinking in English. So they produce in English, language and all, music and all that. So you see, our educational system is skewed. It's not generally our own. So that's a basic problem in Nigeria and Africa and all that. If I had my way, everything the white man has brought to us concerning education, in short, everything will go away.
We have to teach people in our dialect.
Yes.
So they can think in our dialect.
Think in our dialect.
Produce in
and
our
produce in
dialect.
our dialect.
Wow.
And consume in our dialect.
Wow.
That's what the whole world is doing. French, the English, the Germans, and all that. Why should we be different? Because we're colonized. So we are shortchanged as a people. If I have my way, we have to start tracing our root back.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of morality coming from there.
Okay. That's big. I know if you want to talk on that, it's going to take the whole day. You're quite a wealth of knowledge. Now, I want you to look at it in the mainstream education. We have agreed that we don't have an education of ours as a people in Africa. Now we have the education that a white man, as you said, has given to us. So even that particular education that the white man has given to us, have we developed very well? What is your view on the mainstream education?
Mainstream education is basically that education where the general population of children are having some kind of education, mainstream education.
Okay.
The children that would say, relative to children with difficulties, are going to school mainstream. Education has the mainstream and the special needs children. The special needs children have difficulties in learning. And in the special needs, we have two kinds of special needs: children with learning disabilities and children with specific learning disabilities.
You may want to break that. Children with learning disability
and children with specific learning disabilities.
So you may want to break that so that our viewers can understand.
In our country and Africa as a whole, we are always being biased towards mainstream children. And very little is spoken or budgeted for children with special needs. And when you say I should talk about the learning disabilities, children with learning disabilities that have challenges, disabilities in learning, that disability affects every area of their learning, their intellect and all that, their health and all that. So those children in that category, we say, are children with learning disabilities. Because the challenge they have affects every part of their learning, the cognition, which is their thinking and their intelligence and all that. It affects it. Their health, everything. But children with specific learning difficulties are children that are having challenge in specific areas. For example, dyslexia is a specific learning challenge or difficulties.
What is
dyslexia is talking about children that have difficulty in writing, in reading, in spelling. So that's a specific area the child is having problem with. It doesn't affect any other area like maths and all that. Then a child that has dyscalculia is having a specific learning difficulty in mathematics, numbers. So he doesn't have problem in writing and reading. A child that has dysgraphia has a specific challenge in writing. So he has that problem. It's specific to just writing. His English is all right. His calculation is all right. So it's specific to an area. So that is what we talk about.
And you say we have these children all around our environment, in our schools.
They are there.
It's just that attention has not been paid to them.
No, attention.
What do we do actually? What do we do to proffer solution to these children when they are being identified? Or first, how do we identify these children? Is there a mechanism in place or a pattern of teaching that we can use to identify them? Then when we have identified them, how do we handle these children so that they can develop alongside others?
First of all, it is, from my experience, it's love.
Okay.
Love does everything. If I have a bottle of water here,
Mm.
the water is not me, but it's my own. But by drinking, part of that water becomes me.
Yeah.
I have made that water myself.
Mm.
The one in the bottle is not me. So by love, I can make a child myself.
Mm.
He becomes part of me.
Okay.
So through love, I have made him myself.
Okay.
So love is the area where we can be able to co-opt these children and then begin to love them. From love, the child begins to respond.
Okay.
Then when the child is comfortable, then I can teach the child
Okay.
with all the experiences that I have.
Okay.
And love should start from the government.
Okay.
Start budgeting for the special needs children also, not only the mainstream.
Okay.
And the government itself is making a lot of mistakes. The United Nations says 26% of our annual budget should go to education. We have never done that since 1960.
Of course.
So even the children in the mainstream group are having problems because there is poor funding there. Then they are not even funding properly the mainstream children.
Much more
the special needs children. There was a time we spoke with a governor in the South concerning special children. He told us, pump and play. I don't have time for such children.
Mm.
I was so sad.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
A governor, a sitting governor.
That's so sad. So we'd like to go for a quick break, and we're going to come back and continue this very interesting program. Okay, welcome back from the break. We still have our special guest in the house, and then we are dealing with education, especially with regards to children and their educational and development. So, Mr. Tonye, from where we stopped, we would like to know what are the causes to those special and disability, with family and children. What are the causes and what are the solutions?
Children with children with special needs. Special needs is a developmental challenge.
Okay.
From the child, from when conception is achieved by the husband and wife.
Okay.
We need to be very careful. The woman needs to be careful. She carries the fetus. And whatever happens to her impacts on the fetus. That is so in the first trimester, the first 3 months, the second trimester, the next 3 months, and then the third trimester, the third 3 months. A mother and the husband need to be very careful because whatever impacts on the woman affects the fetus. The food, alcohol and all that, she stay away from that. She can't medicate herself anyhow because she's carrying somebody. And for example, the malaria drug I will take is not the same malaria drug a pregnant woman would take.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to do that. And then she needs to eat right. Calcium must be top. Iodine in her salt must be top. We are so unfortunate that some of the salts playing around in our market don't carry the right iodine content. So we have a problem with that. So these are the causes that affect the fetus. So it causes a lag in the mental age of the child. Every human being has, to say, a chronological age, which is the age of the body, and then the age of the mind. So these challenges that the woman goes through, if she has a negative challenge, it causes a lag between the mental age and the chronological age. When the mental age is higher than the chronological age, in Nigeria, we say, this one an old person.
Okay.
When it's below the chronology, when the mental age is below the chronological age, we say, ignorantly and wickedly, we say, Namumu be this one. Which is, I would not subscribe to such thing. I'm a special needs specialist, so I will not accept those derogatory words concerning a beautiful child, no matter what the challenge is. So those are the causes. Then when the child is coming up during labor, it's another time. If the labor is stressing the child, it can impact on the child negatively, and the child is special needs.
Wow.
Immediately after, and after the child is born, successful labor, the way we introduce the child into our commotion as human beings, a child has been in the womb in a very dark place, peaceful place, quiet place, and then the next thing, you expose the child to light, up too much light. It affects a child, because the child is supposed to be introduced into our madness. I would try to say that gently.
Yeah.
Even footballers are taken to acclimatize somewhere before they go to the real venue for. So we need to allow the child acclimatize to lighting, to sound, to smell, because if 5 senses, if they are impaired by our ignorance, the auditory sense, the visual sense, the olfactory sense, the gustatory sense, the tactile sense, then the child will be special needs.
Wow.
And it's going to be a problem for the teacher.
Wow.
So we need to bring the child gently and acclimatize the child into the environment of birth, where the place will be dimly lit, the sound will be near zero, touching of the child will be near zero, and the smell of the environment, this should be controlled, not having, like a lot of us, when a child is born, we have powder everywhere and we're shouting hallelujah and all that. No. The child is coming into that environment. He did not have all that strong smell. So he should gently be acclimatized to our supposed madness.
Wow, we are learning from you. So the parents, when they notice these signs of disability on the children, what should they do?
They should love.
Okay.
First, love.
Okay.
Because it is not the child's fault.
Wow.
It's our fault. We did not take good care of ourselves and all that. Then they should agree between themselves to look for the best possible way to get this child to grow up to a contributing person in the society.
And that brings me to my next question. Do we have such children that has made impact in our society?
Yeah. Einstein, for once.
Albert Einstein
wow. was a special needs child.
Wow.
But you see his awesome contribution to humanity. Michael Phelps, special needs child, 8 gold medals. Nigeria never won a gold medal in that Olympics, but one person had 8 medals. Messi, the great footballer, special needs. So it is.
Lionel Messi. Wow.
A parent's sacrifice time, teacher sacrifice time, and look at what it came out to be. So it was all love, predicated on love. And then we outsiders must stop labeling these children, because labeling them as all kinds of word, imbecile and all that. For goodness sake, God created these ones just as he created me. And he says I should love my neighbor as myself. And we need to help from their tender age to make it possible for the child to grow right. Because every child, whether mainstream or special need, have just one opportunity to grow right. And it's in our hands and in the hands of the environment.
Like you heard, it is in our hands and in the hands of the environment. We want to pay special need to every child out there. Like he said, like I said earlier, he is an advocate for both children and youth. You want to pay special attention to every child to identify if they are the mainstream child or a child with special need. And we must learn to encourage and love them and not to call them names, because every child is a great child. About Einstein, for instance, that he has mentioned, they are men that has contributed immensely to society. So if you're a parent out there, you're a young man, it is not in your place to call any child any name whatsoever. Thank you so much. We'll wrap it up here and we'll call it a day. And we'll join you next time in this same station with another wonderful program with our special guest. Until then, thank you so much.